Hi, Andrea. Thank you for being here with me today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
I'm just going to ask you a few questions regarding your choice to come to River Falls, what you like, maybe what you dislike. So we'll get started. Okay. My first question is, when trying to decide where to go to college, what universities did you consider, and why did you consider those universities?
So I considered a lot of universities that were kind of close to where I grew up. I wanted to be far enough away from home, but I also still wanted to be close enough where I was able to go home and spend time with my family, even on tough days or on their birthdays. Just I wanted to be close enough, but still distant enough where I can be my own person and also grow individually. So with that being said, I looked at Augsburg College. I looked at, I'm drawing on the blank on what they're called, Gustavus. And then here, and then I looked at Stout. And I chose River Falls in particular because of multiple reasons, that it was close but still far enough away. It's about 40 minutes from where I grew up in Bloomington. I also tried out for a dance team. I was dance team in high school, and I danced my whole life since I was 3 years old, so that was something I wanted to carry over into college. And that would help me transition into meeting new people and kind of having that activity outside of school to focus on. I made the dance team here when I tried out, so that was kind of my deciding factor. I was like, I made the team, that's where I want to commit. So that was kind of what made me come here, and throughout me being here, I'm glad this was a choice I made because I've made really great friends, and I'm happy with everything that's come along afterwards.
Sure. I can appreciate that you want ones close to home, and that's why you looked, but I'm glad that you were also happy with your decision. That's what matters. How did you decide to be a communication studies major?
Well, I started off in college, actually. I was unknown, and then I think my second semester of my freshman year, I took one class for elementary education. So after I went through that first class, I quickly realized that's not what I wanted to do. I love kids. I want to have some one day of my own, but I do not want to do that as my profession. So I'm glad I took that class because that was something that was kind of in my mind as I was going into college, thinking that's what I was going to do. And I'm glad that I had that experience with that class and realized that's not what I wanted. And so I did kind of a little bit of searching because I really wasn't sure still. And then I had talked to a few friends, Laura being one of them, and she had recommended that she was going into communication studies. And she kind of told me a little bit about it because you kind of have questions about it, I guess, when you hear about what it is, because it's so broad or kind of so strange, I guess, because that's not normally what you hear someone majoring in. So I joined the major program, and I'm so happy that I did do it. It's very broad, and as I said, for a while I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I guess I still don't know. I won't know until I have more experience. But I do like that it is, I keep saying, a broad range. You can really apply it to anything, and also communication is something that is so big in our world, and with technology growing, it's so important to know how to effectively communicate. So just being able to study that, and I really notice it a lot now, I think more than I did when I came to college, and it's so used to, like, in my daily routines of when I'm talking with people or I'm just listening in on something, I recognize, like, things I've learned in class I'm picking up when I'm just around doing my daily things. But I guess just the side that it's so broad, I can really go into anything or apply it to anything besides math. And the fact that it is so important to have a skill that is never going to go out of style.
Absolutely. It's very practical.
Yep.
And isn't it nice that you can take a class and decide, and you're not deciding later on in life that I maybe went to school for the wrong thing?
Right, because you can still apply it.
Right, really good. Do you have a minor then?
Yep, so I created a Plan B minor. Here at River Falls, we don't have a wide range of minors to choose from. At least that's what I thought when I was looking. So I could have double majored from communication studies with a marketing communications minor, but I made up a Plan B, which is very similar to marketing communications. I've taken a lot of those classes, and that's why I say I almost could have double majored, but I think I kind of just wanted to get done. So it's actually called Mass Media Marketing. So I've taken a few classes like persuasion, a few journalism classes, business writing, but I'm really glad I took that because it's a little bit more focused, because communication is so broad, and having that focus into the skills that you need in the marketing world has really helped me kind of go towards things that I think I want to do after college.
Yeah, narrows the broad range.
It does.
Good, thank you. Will you please tell me about your first year of college, kind of things like where did you live, how did you meet people, what that transition was like?
Yeah, so that was kind of a tough transition for me, to be honest. I was really excited to go to college, but at the same time, I really didn't know what to expect. You always have these images in your head what college is going to be like from shows that you've watched. It's like big sororities, big fraternities. Like, that's kind of what was in my head, but when I got here, of course, that's not what it was, and I didn't know what to expect. So I moved into May Hall, which is right over on the corner there, kind of across from Juniors in the hotel. And I knew who my roommate was going to be, but we didn't know each other beforehand. For some reason, it was really strange how we got connected. Someone who went to Jefferson High School, a different high school in my hometown, had messaged me on Facebook, was like, oh, I know this girl that wants to go to River Falls. You guys should be roommates. So I was like, okay. So she messaged me on Facebook, and we both kind of were like, okay, we seem like we're both pretty normal, kind of on the same page. So we met up at the Mall of America, and we had dinner, and we connected really well. So it was nice to kind of meet the person face to face that I'd be living with for however many years in college. And so we got along really well. It was kind of hard, though, to get used to the dorms. I guess I would say, a neat freak sometimes, and I really hated just being in a building that felt like I was actually in a prison. I didn't like having the walls that were brick. It drove me nuts. I didn't like sleeping in a bunk bed. I mean, it kind of makes me sound like a brat. I didn't like it. It kind of almost got depressing, so it made my freshman year really hard on me. But I luckily had the transition with dance team, like I had mentioned before, which really helped me get through kind of those tough times. It's kind of how I met a lot of people here, kind of got out of my comfort zone, and I don't think if I didn't have that experience with dance team, I would have had a completely different experience starting off school. So I'm really glad I did that. It was nice to get out of the dorms with dance team because I honestly felt like I was kind of depressed in a way my freshman year. I struggled with trying to figure out when to stay in weekends, what to do. I didn't want to sit in this box of a room all the time. And I, at the time, had a boyfriend who went to Winona, so I'd go visit him a lot. So I wasn't here almost every weekend. And then other weekends that I didn't go there, I would go home back to Bloomington. And there were some times where I would come back, and this sounds really bad, but I'd come back and I would cry. And I'd call my mom, and I was like, I absolutely hate it. I was like, I want to transfer, like, the whole rest of the time, like, my freshman year, I had it in my mind I was going to transfer. And I think it partially was because it was such a different change from what I grew up in. You know, I mean, I guess it's different for everyone. You're moving into a dorm, and it's a completely new place. I, at first, really didn't like the small town feel. I feel like the people I met weren't people I wanted to be around. Not saying that was like my roommate or people on the dance team, but just other people I had met around campus. I was like, I don't really know if I fit here very well. So that was a really tough thing for me. And then I ended up staying my sophomore year. I'm going off onto a tangent here.
That's good.
And I'm glad I did. And so my freshman year was a lot of transitions, a lot of struggles. I think a lot of me growing up in a sense, and I continued, and you always do. But that was the hardest year for me. I really, honestly hated the school.
Right.
But as time has gone on, I am glad I stayed.
Right, yeah. I'm glad things that you can experience that transition.
Yeah.
And the hardships, because ultimately it helped you to stay here.
Yep.
But that ultimately you're happier than when you started.
Yes.
That's a good thing. You made the right decision.
And I think a lot of people kind of go through some sort of struggle as their freshman year. I mean, you're trying to figure out who you are, where you belong, if this is what you want to do, and what you want to do with your life. It's kind of a really tough stage into kind of being at home 100% of the time, and you always have an expectation, like, oh, I'm going to college, like, I'm free, I can do whatever I want. But at the same time, you're like, I'm so lost. I don't know what I'm doing, what I'm supposed to do. So
you almost don't know how to be free.
Yeah, you don't. It's strange, but definitely needed.
Yes, thank you for sharing that, because I know that's not always easy to express. What year in school was the most fun for you, and why?
My most fun year, honestly, was the year after my freshman year, sophomore year. I loved that year for multiple reasons. Dance was so much fun. Start with that. I had mentioned previously with Laura's interview that we went to nationals that year, and it was our first year going to nationals in Daytona, and we made it to finals, which was a huge accomplishment for our team. Even though the school didn't recognize it as much as we hoped they would, it was still such an amazing time. I made so many great memories there, and that was probably my most favorite team, too. As people change throughout the years and people graduate, it's always a different team, and that year was the most fun. Outside of that, too, I lived in Ames. It was still a dorm, but it was newer ones that year, and we were the first ones to live in there. So it didn't really feel so much like a dorm. We had our own kitchen that we shared with our floor, and the rooms were a lot bigger, the ceilings were high. I think it made a big difference for me, and the walls were not brick. So I was a lot happier from when I lived in Mayhall my first year, and I actually had the same roommate, so we got along. And I still am roommates with her to this day, so it was kind of funny that worked out. And another part was just really my friends. We were a lot closer that year. We did a lot more fun things. I met a lot of people, and that's actually when I met my boyfriend. And I was still considering transferring at the time, and this sounds very, very silly and might be too much information, but when I met him, I was kind of like, I need to stay. I want to stay.
That's awesome.
And,
I love that.
And I'm glad I did. Everything has worked out the way I wanted to, although at the time it's not like I would have known that. But yeah, really just everything that I did that year, from dance, friends, and we made a lot of fun memories. I know this sounds silly, but like we would do a lot of fun things on the weekend that I will always remember in college. So that would be my most fun year. I mean, school is fine too, but everything else is fun.
No, absolutely. I look at it as more outside of school. That's the fun part.
Yep. That's what made school fun.
Right.
Yeah.
What is your best memory in college? That year was all fun, but do you have one thing that really sticks out? Maybe you'll remember forever.
I do. It was my sophomore year. I would say mostly it was dance. When we went to nationals in Daytona, that was one of my most favorite memories. Just the high that we had when we went and when we got to move on to finals, and that was the best feeling to dance on that floor and have kind of people recognize who we are, like from River Falls, and we made it far. So that was a huge confidence boost and a memory that I will always hold on to. Also that year was meeting Zach. That was a really good memory. It was so fun, and I'm glad that we're still together and we have those memories in college together. So I would say my sophomore year.
My next question is, what is some advice you would give to incoming first-year students that are just starting at UWRF?
Some advice I would give to incoming students would be to keep an open mind. When you come in, you either have certain expectations or you don't know what is going to come your way, and even like me, I experienced some hardships, as many people do. You just have to keep an open mind and keep moving forward. Eventually, you're going to figure out kind of who you are, where you belong, and your values, but you have to go through those hard times first to kind of figure it out. And at the time, you don't realize it, and you think your world is crashing down, but eventually the light comes through and everything will get better. So really just keep an open mind and keep moving forward, and everything will make sense.
Sure. Good advice, that ultimately you need to figure out who you are, and through an open mind you'll get there.
Yep.
It just takes more time than we want it to sometimes.
Exactly.
Good. My next question is, how do you feel now that we are about to graduate? The feelings associated with graduation.
I'm very excited. I'm very nervous. In a sense, kind of sad, but way more excited. It's strange, though, because you don't realize how you're going to feel until you get to this point. I mean, I never really thought this day was going to come, and now it's almost here, 2 weeks from now. I mean, we've been in school our entire lives, and now it's going to be over unless you're going to grad school. So it's a completely new thing. And I'm the type of person that hates thinking about the unknown. Like, I like to have plans, I like to have structure, and you can only plan so much after graduation, and the rest is going to come through. So I would say it's a mix of emotions, but overall I'm really excited to kind of see the next step. It's kind of like starting freshman year all over again, in a sense, because it's a whole new thing, and another step of you growing up a little bit older. So I'm excited. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm going to keep an open mind through it all.
Well, good luck as graduation approaches.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here and answering my questions today.
Thanks for having me.
Good. And our observer today is Laura.